In this lecture, again, we will work with the same data set, but a very different approach to writing VLOOKUP. Now, earlier we had written a VLOOKUP, selected our lookup value, and if you remember, we had chosen column C, D, and E. Now, there is a slightly better way of doing this. Before I start writing the function, I'm going to select column C, D, and E. Click on the name box in the top left corner. The name box is on the left of the formula bar. I will click inside and I will call this, let us say my VL underscore table. Now, if you notice, what we have done is we have assigned a nickname to this particular range. This is called a range reference. So we have given a name to column number C, D, and E. And I hope you're able to join the dots now. Now, this time when we write equal to VLOOKUP, we don't have to go and select column number C, D, and E. We can simply write VL underscore table and then continue writing the rest of our formula. So the result is in column 3 and the type is an exact match. Now, I'm sure all of you would agree that this is much better than the previous example. A couple of reasons for this. Number one, it is easier for us to write the formula because we don't have to go and manually select the columns. Number two, there is a lesser chance of a person making a mistake because what if somebody accidentally had chosen 4 columns or 2 columns? Now this time, because we already had given a name to the 3 columns that we wanted, there is a reduced chance of an error. And also for a user who's only looking at the file, it is easier because it is now a very descriptive formula and it actually tells the user that the table array is the VL table. So rather than writing the column letters C colon E, which is a little cryptic and we know how the formula works because we have written it. But when we are sharing it with somebody else, they might find a little bit of difficulty to understand that. When we write VL underscore table, it's very simple for the other person to understand what we have done, which in this case is to choose the table called VL underscore table. Now, if you have given a name and for some reason you want to delete it, edit the name, or you want to modify it somehow, let's say adding a new column, you can click on formulas and then name manager. And as you can see, we have the VL underscore table name here. From here, we can edit it. So we can edit the name. We can edit the cells that they refer to. And also, if you simply want to delete it, you can delete it as well. Now, if you delete it, do remember that all your formulas will stop working, obviously, because it is not able to find a reference called VL underscore table. But that's all right, because if you go back and give it a name again, VL underscore table, then all the formulas will come back to life. Even though my strong suggestion is that if you have given a name, please make sure not to delete it because it's a bad habit. Sometimes you will give a lot of names and if you remove it, then some formulas might be affected and you might not even know that those formulas got affected. Also, there is no limit to the number of names that you give. So inside one workbook, you can give as many names as you want. All those names can be seen in the name manager. You can't give the same name 2 times. So for example, if I try to select column number D and E, and I try to give the same name once again, VL underscore table, you notice that it doesn't actually allow me to give the name, but in fact, it selects the original VL table that I had given, which is great because it doesn't permit us to make any mistake. So remember, in the first lecture, we saw how we can write a normal VLOOKUP function. In the next one, we selected the entire column. And in the third one, in the current one, we have made it even better because rather than choosing column C, D, and E, we first gave a name to these 3 columns and then that range name was called inside our function.